There is a quiet moment that tends to arrive late at night. Not dramatic, not emotional, just a pause. It happens after the day is done, after the emails are closed, the lights are dim, and the house is finally still. There's no crisis, no emergency. Bills are paid, work is steady, life, on the surface, is fine. And yet, something feels off. Not wrong enough to panic, not urgent enough to act, just heavier than expected. The feeling isn't about wanting more, it's about wondering why, after years of effort, things don't feel easier, why stability still feels fragile, why the margin between comfort and stress feels thinner than it should by now. This isn't about being irresponsible or reckless or bad with money. In fact, it's often the opposite. The people who feel this most are usually doing what they were told was sensible. They studied, they worked, they avoided obvious mistakes, they didn't gamble or chase shortcuts, they built what looks like a normal, respectable life. And yet, when they look forward, 5 years, 10 years, the picture doesn't open up the way they expected. It doesn't collapse, it just stays narrow. There is no single bill to blame, no one bad decision, no dramatic turning point. Instead, there's a slow realization that progress feels oddly flat, that effort seems to maintain, not advance. This is where the discomfort lives, in the gap between expectation and reality, in the quiet suspicion that something structural is happening. Not a tax you see on a payslip, not a fee you agreed to consciously, but a kind of invisible drag, a cost that doesn't announce itself, a pressure that feels normal because everyone around you is living with it too. Tonight's story is about that pressure, the one that doesn't show up as a line item, the one that quietly shapes middle-class life, not as a failure, not as a warning, just as something worth finally seeing clearly. The household we're following could be almost anywhere, a medium-sized city. Not a capital, not rural. The kind of place with good coffee, functional public transport, and a cost of living that used to feel reasonable. One income, sometimes two. A combined after-tax monthly take-home of around $4,800 in the US, or roughly 3,800 to 4,200 euros in parts of Western Europe. Enough to feel stable. Enough to qualify as doing okay. Rent takes the first quiet bite. About $1,600 or 1,300 euros. Not luxurious, not cramped, just normal. Utilities arrive next. Electricity, heating, internet, phone plans, another $300 or so. Slightly higher in winter, slightly lower in summer, nothing surprising. Transportation follows. In the US, a modest car payment, insurance, fuel, around $500. In Europe, public transport passes, occasional car sharing, maintenance, around 250 to 350 euros. Then come the older decisions. Student loans, a credit card balance that never fully disappears, another $400 or 300 euros. Groceries are reasonable, mostly home-cooked meals, some convenience, but nothing extreme, around $600. At this point, most of the income is already spoken for. Not wasted, just allocated. What remains is where life quietly happens. Streaming subscriptions, music, cloud storage, gym membership, a couple of meals out each week, occasional travel to see family, a short holiday once or twice a year, nothing extravagant. None of it feels excessive. Each expense is small enough to justify. Each one adds comfort, connection, or a sense of normalcy. By the end of the month, there is usually something left, a few $100s, sometimes saved, sometimes absorbed by something unexpected. The household isn't struggling, but it isn't building distance from stress either. A car repair tightens the month, a rent increase changes the math. A job change feels risky, not exciting. On paper, this is success. In practice, it feels delicate. Nothing here is accidental. The system is not designed to cause collapse. It's designed to cause consistency. Most costs in modern middle-class life are structured as ongoing commitments, monthly, automatic, predictable. They feel manageable because they are divided into small pieces: rent, subscriptions, insurance, financing, each one reasonable in isolation. Together, they create a fixed floor. This is the pattern. Income rises slowly. Expenses rise quietly in response, not through extravagance, but through normalization. What once felt optional becomes expected. What once felt like a treat becomes baseline. There is no moment where someone says, "I am now choosing stagnation." It happens through alignment with what feels normal for one's peer group, city, and stage of life. The system rewards reliability, not flexibility. Stable earners are offered more credit. Predictable spenders get better access. It feels like progress, but it also locks in future obligations. Doing everything right doesn't break the cycle. It sustains it.
Let's slow it down. That $80 in subscriptions? $960 a year. Over 10 years, nearly $10,000. The extra $250 in housing compared to a smaller place? $3,000 a year. $30,000 over a decade. The car upgrade that added $200 a month, $2,400 a year, $24,000 in 10 years. None of these numbers are shocking. That's the point. They don't ruin anything. They quietly decide what's possible. That $60,000 to $80,000 over 10 years doesn't feel like a loss. It feels like life. But it's also margin that never forms, time that never compounds, options that never appear. The math isn't aggressive. It's patient.
This isn't about ignorance. It's about social calibration. People measure normal by proximity: colleagues, friends, neighbors. When everyone lives at the same level of financial stretch, it feels safe. Falling slightly behind feels risky. Staying aligned feels responsible. There's also identity. The life you've built reflects effort, education, stability, adulthood. Reducing it feels like going backward, even if nothing is wrong. The system doesn't punish intelligence, it absorbs it. Nothing breaks. Life continues. But choices narrow. Work becomes less optional. Rest becomes scheduled. Risk feels expensive. Not trapped, just committed. Financial calm isn't about having more. It's about having space, margin, time, reduced dependence. Calm people notice obligations before rewards. They think in decades, not months. They don't rush. They don't optimize. They protect flexibility quietly. The middle-class tax isn't a bill. It's a pattern. One that feels normal. One that feels earned. One that quietly shapes what life can become. Seeing it doesn't demand action. It just changes how you interpret the weight you feel. This video is not financial advice. It's simply an observation of how modern systems work and how they shape everyday decisions. And sometimes clarity alone is enough to breathe a little easier. If this helped clarify things, consider subscribing.